Hey everybody, happy Saturday, happy game day from College Park, Maryland, and SECU Stadium, whatever the heck that is, Ohio State
Classic.
and Maryland. 3:30 Eastern kickoff right here in this building. That is Bill Landis, Jeremy Birmingham, and I am Austin Ward, getting ready with some keys and then a quick look at, well, we'll start with the status and availability report for Ohio State. Mayan Williams, as we had been suggesting all week, dealing with a high ankle sprain. He did not travel, will not play for Ohio State today. Going back to Ryan Day's optimism earlier in the week about two out of the three other injured running backs playing, both Travion Henderson and Chip Trayanum are cleared to go. They are not considered game time decisions. They are available for the Buckeyes. Now, there's probably different levels to their availability. What do you think about that, Bill?
Yeah, I mean, Ryan Day, I think, probably mentioned pitch count for a reason on Tuesday when we talked to him. It's just a matter of how much do you want to play Travion. My opinion, I wouldn't play him at all. Yeah. Or I guess maybe see how the game goes and how you feel about that. But I think Dallin Hayden can handle the load. I think Chip Trayanum, I'd like to see him get some work. We don't really know what that looks like. I think he has one carry this year, right?
Yeah.
For 19 yards.
For 19 yards. So he's averaging 19 yards a carry, which is pretty explosive.
Was it 19 or 9? I thought it was 9.
There was definitely a 9 involved.
Yeah, I think,
Did I hear a niner in there?
we caught a 9er.
Yeah, so I don't know. I would probably try to protect Travion at all costs.
Yeah, I don't think he should play. I mean, as Bill said, this is all about how the game flow is, and if there's a pitch count, it should be like 5, just to make sure that he's able to get out there and feel a little bit of physicality from another team just before next week. But this should be a day for Dallin Hayden and Chip Trayanum at running back. And other than that, I mean, that's really, as far as unexpected news, that's about it. I mean, no one else on the availability report. Dewan Jones is back. Cam Brown, Jordan Hancock, all the guys that have been on and off the list are all available. So, obviously Jackson Smith and Jigba, Mitchell Melton, those guys are not, but should be a relatively, maybe the most healthy we've seen Ohio State all year.
Yeah, I think that there's been so much, and look, we've talked every Saturday about some of the unpredictability with the availability report. Look, this is about as healthy as Ohio State could reasonably be expected to be heading into the last 2 weeks, and I know that it doesn't maybe feel that way because Mayan Williams and Jackson Smith and Jigba are two of the best playmakers, not just on this team, but perhaps in the country as well. So taking them out of the conversation stings, but you're not looking at, this team hasn't dealt with many season-long injuries. Court Williams is out for the rest of the year. Mitchell Melton hasn't been available, but when you look at that list, it's not a bunch of guys who, it's not like Ohio State was struck by a bunch of bad luck and lost a ton of starters for the whole year. That hasn't happened.
No, that hasn't happened, and I think you probably argue they've been getting healthier over the course of the second half of the season. It's just that the running back has just been spin the wheel who's hurt this week. I think that's what's frustrating, but I think they're in an okay spot. I would imagine that if Mayan Williams is not even 100%, they'll try to give it a go with him next week because of the magnitude of that game. Mm-hmm. So get him there, get Travion through this, and get him there, and I think you're all right.
Pop.
Yeah, I think that the Travion thing is interesting to me because I understand the temptation and the urge. He hasn't played in a couple of weeks. You want to make sure that he's got hits on his body before going into the game. But, I mean, we've seen that where it's twice this year, Berm, you've said, I'm pretty sure it was the last carry that he got.
Both games. Michigan State, Penn State, both times. So it was the absolute last carry that he had. And I guess, maybe it wouldn't have been the last carry if he didn't get dinged up on that play. Banged up, whatever. So I think that it's just a situation where you just got to be careful and understand football's a physical game. Guys are going to get hit. They're going to get hurt. But you just hope that it's not that bad luck that they've seemed to have with him specifically at Michigan State and at Penn State.
How many keys are we going to do today, Bill?
Should we each do 2 keys?
2 keys. A total of 6 keys.
6 keys.
For the most irrelevant game
we can do
I think maybe I've ever covered.
We can do 1 key.
Okay.
Come on.
It's silly, right? I made this point earlier in the week. I still can't believe it that we're here. There's no stakes whatsoever.
Oh, there's stakes.
I know Ohio State wants to be undefeated, but outside of that, there's not. It doesn't affect the Big Ten race. It doesn't affect the college football playoff. It doesn't affect anything.
I just think you just don't want to open up the door for any sort of
shenanigans,
hijinks. You don't want to give any of the national pundits a reason to think that this team doesn't belong there in the event something crazy happens around the country. So first key is hit Tua Tito, period. Hit him a lot, hit him early, hit him late, hit him all the time.
Hit him late.
Yeah,
that's a free first down.
Take a penalty. I don't care.
Oh.
At some point, you just...
Here first, America. The key is to take penalties.
The less comfortable he is, the easier this game gets for Ohio State. He has played fairly consistently well, except for the last 2 weeks where he's obviously been hurt. And I think you really want to make him uncomfortable. Hit him a lot. That's the key.
Yeah, I think the only chance of this game like getting kind of wonky is him extending plays. I don't know if he's physically capable of doing that with his knee and how slow and immobile he's looked the last few weeks, but I think that's probably the most important thing. Mine would be, I don't even want to say get back on track for Julian Fleming and Emeka Egbuka because that feels like overstating dramatically what's happened the last 2 weeks. But I do think you want to get those two into a rhythm with CJ Stroud, especially going into next week with the increased attention on Marvin Harrison Jr. I think he's just going to see double team after double team from here on out, no matter who they play, no matter what the stage is. So Emeka and Julian need to take advantage of that, and they can start doing it today.
I think the only actual stakes that I could attach to this game is CJ Stroud's Heisman candidacy, and he has an opportunity to boost those numbers in this building later on today. So let him cook, especially if Ohio State's running backs are banged up, as we know that they are. In the situation, I've said it over and over the last month, this is a pass-first team, and this is a talented enough offense from the coaching staff to the quarterback to the wide receivers to everybody involved in pass protection to just go out and maul Maryland through the air. I know that that's not normally the way you describe a passing attack, but this is an opportunity for him to get 4, 5, 6 touchdowns in the first half, in my opinion. I know Berm and I have argued a little bit about how Ohio State will come out today against Maryland on the road. I think they'll build a big lead and get CJ into some protective cover and some bubble wrap early. He's just throw and get the game over with. Like, don't mess around. Don't let it become a 4-quarter thing. Don't expose CJ Stroud to anything that could jeopardize him for next week. Just get it done early, and the best way to do that, in my opinion, for Ohio State is to throw the football.
I agree. I mean, I think it sounds a bit redundant. I've said this a few times on the keys on the pregame shows, but you just got to jump on these guys quick. This isn't a situation where you want to give Maryland any confidence or any belief that they belong in this game. Ohio State has a lot on the table after this week, so take care of business. Come out 28-0 in the first quarter. Just lay it on and move forward. Don't dilly-dally. Don't try to be cute. Just do the things you do best early, and then if you want to work on stuff like Ohio State's been doing throughout the season and do those in-game practices, do that in the third and fourth quarter. Do that in the third and fourth quarter, not in the first and second quarter. Come out, let CJ do his thing, because next week, ultimately, and I think there's a chance next week against Michigan will be for the Heisman Trophy, and I don't mean that for CJ Stroud. I mean that for Blake Corum or CJ Stroud. Yep. So I think you could really use this game to kind of do a little stat padding if you're Ohio State, if that matters to you, which I think it should.
I think it will, and it does. And smash that first quarter over, huh? 14 points?
Yeah.
28?
Especially if it's legal where you live or where you're standing.
Wait, is that total over or just Ohio State?
14 total points in the first quarter.
Firm's about to whip his phone out right now.
Regardless of how it happens.
Why is this the first time hearing of it? We've been talking about first quarter gambling lines all season, bro.
Wild.
Yeah, get on board. That's the key.
Yeah.
Gamble responsibly.
That's right. Yikes. 14?
Yeah. The other part to what you guys were both saying with Tua Tito and the Maryland offense, it's not just getting there and hitting him, but secure tackling. If there's been something to nitpick over the last couple of weeks, a few of those have slipped away. Part of that is, harder to tackle if you're Tommy Eichenberg and you have a cast on your hand, but that's what he's going to have to deal with, and you want to make sure that the fundamentals are sharp for next week. Again, I don't mean to just totally dismiss what's happening out here today, but that is how I feel. Yeah. To me, it doesn't matter. I think it's crazy that Gene Smith should have just forfeited this game. Said, let's get healthy for next week.
Maryland has some game breakers in Jacob Copeland and Raheem Jarrett out there on the outside. So it is important for Ohio State. Maryland's going to try a lot of that quick passing game, just to get them the ball in space and let them do some things. So it's really important that Cam Brown, Jordan Hancock, Denzel Burke wrap up and make tackles on first contact, because otherwise they do have players that can take it to the house.
Also important for Denzel Burke because he didn't play last week.
That's right. Roman Hemby, too, their running back, is a bit of a load. Breaks a lot of tackles. So it's important. Don't let it get weird, and don't let Maryland extend drives they have no business extending. Get them off the field. Let CJ throw 9 touchdowns and get back on the plane.
The last time that we were here, it was the definition of weird for Ohio State. One of the strangest games that you possibly could have drawn up in, I don't believe it was called SECU Stadium then.
It wasn't called SECU Stadium 2 months ago.
Yeah, I don't know.
I can't wait. They changed the naming rights in September. It was Capital One Field at Maryland Stadium, and they changed it like the third week of the season.
I can't wait to find out what SECU is.
It's a credit union.
Great, that's awesome.
That's what the CU stands for.
SEC bias.
That's what the credit union. That's what the CU stands for.
SEC University.
Yeah, maybe.
Wishful thinking.
Maryland's trying to jump ship.
Good, get out of here. Nobody wants you. That's Bill Byrne. I'm Austin. This has been the pregame live show. Not really live today, but that's Maryland for you. We've got to have full coverage, as we always will, snap judgments on ohiostate.rivals.com and on the podcast later on after Ohio State and Maryland, which starts at 3:30 live here in College Park. Maryland, don't miss it. That's, again, Bill Burr, I'm Austin. Bye-bye.